Okay, so 3 transport, 1 infantry, 1 tank purchase. He skipped Pearl, he skipped Szechuan. He did not hit the cruiser or the carrier. He did lose 2 infantry on Burma. I lost 1. He lost 2 infantry there. He evidently attacked 2 infantry, 2 fighters, he said, and lost the 2 infantry, so he didn't go my infantry. But elsewhere, he did not lose anybody. Sorry, he lost 1 in Yunnan. So that's what the board looks like. So I really was planning on doing a KGF here and showing people that you can do a KGF out of this setup, and that I can do a KGF. But I don't know. We had a safe Russian retreat, so we got a strong Russian with lots of tanks, which is I like the tanks in the KGFs or KJFs, excuse me, and KGFs for that matter. But so we had a safe Russian retreat there, saved some units. We were not able to drop a fleet with the UK. Transports for US are both living. Pearl was not hit, and he did the 3 transport build, which if you follow me quite extensively, at different times I've said that with this whole setup, if they do a 3 transport build, that's my green light for KGF in all likelihood. If they do anything else, if they drop their transports to 2 or 1, then I go KGF, because they're going to be slowed up a turn on Japan getting in. So all of those check marks say KJF, 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 KJF. The fleet's going to be painful because he's got 7 planes that he can keep dead zoning with. So I'm going to need to at least get up to 7 total hitbacks and maybe tempt him without any transport. So we got, if he doesn't hit the cruiser, which I don't know if I would if I was him. He's going to have 3 territories to trade, possibly 4. So I don't know that I would if I was him, but I'll have the cruiser or destroyer, and then you figure a carrier is 3, and its fighters would be 4 or 5. But I just need 2 more hit points in here somehow beyond that. So, and UK2, we're going to be dropping India if we go KJF. So it's not India. UK3, maybe we get a couple fighters going. UK4, we get some drops going of ships. So the earliest I could say is maybe UK4 we drop a fleet. Good news is UK transport lives. Both of them lived, actually. He didn't hit either of them. So he comes 2, 3, 4. So that times out decently with what we're talking about, hopefully. So I don't know. This is going to be the hard part. But, all the other signs point to KJF. So we're going to do it, because here's the big thing is, with the 6 fighters here, 2 carriers here, only 4 of those fighters can hit C-735. His bomber can hit, so he can hit 5 planes. He's got sub, 2 carriers, cruiser, bomber. So 5 planes, 5 boats. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I can drop 3 boats, a carrier and 2 cruisers, 5, 6, 7 boats, and I've got 2, 3, 4 fighters. So I can just drop my fleet and stack C-Zone 35 directly. And my American fleet can come up here. These fighters and the bomber probably can reach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the bomber can reach, but he's only got a battleship destroyer. The fighters 1, 2, 3, 4 can't reach because the carrier can't reach. The really interesting thing, and this is not so much now, but it's definitely on my radar, is he's got 2 carriers sitting there, in my kill box. And so this is what I could send to C-Zone 61 on UK's turn. I could send 2 subs, a bomber, and a fighter versus destroyer, 2 carriers, and a battleship. And, yeah, I'm not likely to win it or live it. But if we look at the 50% result, 2 carriers gone, that's golden. Even, 43% chance of this result, or 78% chance of 1 carrier or more living, and 57% chance that we get it to where there's no battleship or no carrier at all. So odds are we could take out the carriers even if we don't kill the battleship. So what? So we don't kill it. If we kill the destroyer and the carriers, and we could even retreat at one point if the fighter lives. 1, 2, 3, 4 can land on my carrier that I'm going to be building. If the sub lives, we can just retreat back, and there's not another. Oh yeah, he does have another destroyer up here. His destroyer is up here. Sorry, it's a cruiser, not a destroyer there. Sorry, I put the wrong thing in there. That is actually a cruiser. That actually might even be helpful. We'll see here. So the odds change a little bit, but still, well, he's going to take us to cruiser before the carriers, I'm sure. So still, odds are we get him down to take out both his carriers, and pretty decent chance we take out. Very good chance we take out at least 1 carrier. Pretty good chance we take out 2 carriers. Is what I'm trying to say. So, in any case, something to think about on UK's turn that might affect them. And the biggest thing with the KJF is I worry, about him dumping everything into 36, bringing 4 transports worth of troops, and then hitting India J3. So if he brings everything down there, that'll be 2 battleships, a destroyer, a cruiser, 2 carriers, and then of course there are 4 fighters, and then there's a sub in there too. Don't want to forget the sub in there. So 7 boats, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boats. So I will have, not attacking C-Zone 61, just talking about it's just a straight drop right now. 4 fighters. We could potentially have 2 bombers over here, 2 subs. We're going to have 2 destroyers. We build a cruiser and 2 carriers. And so if he goes to C-Zone 36, we could have UK essentially having a coin flip on the U.S. Navy. We'd have to concede India, but the U.S. would just walk right in to the back door, and the Pacific would be done right then and there. After UK 3, so really US 2, they'd be, if Japan 2 went down there and matched UK toe to toe, US would be walking right into the Tokyo sea zones and then continuing right on into the rest of that on US 3 and so forth. So we're pretty strong there. Additionally, if we decided we didn't want to attack, we're going to have 6 Russian tanks sitting in Caucasus because they didn't stack anything forward, so we can put our 6 Russian tanks there that could come down to India. We've got fighters coming through since we didn't drop a fleet. So we can have a pretty good defense of India straight too if we need to. So I feel a little more comfortable with that J2 drop into here because we got options. So interestingly enough, I'm doing a little bit of a buy. You'll see I'm looking at 2 destroyers, a carrier, but instead of 2 subs, I'm getting a fighter and saving 2. Saving 2, I've got 40. That'll give me 42 next turn. 42 is a carrier, 2 fighters, and a destroyer, or it's 7 subs if I need to hit subs. So we got 2 options on US2 for a drop. And the KJF, my whole goal is to get a defensive stack on an island by US5. So by US5 means by US4 they need to be here. US3 they need to be built. So US1, US2, and US3 are where the builds are the most important to build the most defensive build that we can get down here. If we've got fighters to match carriers, that's always a good. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 fighters here. So normally I would just do the carrier, but because I am a little concerned with India, I'm going to go ahead and fly this guy down to Australia when my fleet goes north, and so they're going to be separated. So I'm going to go ahead and build that 4th fighter anyways. We may cycle them back for a future carrier. So a lot to think about there, but we're also going to have a UK fleet going here. And hopefully we're going to have enough. Now, they've got an extra fighter. They didn't lose a fighter anywhere. They also got their sub and cruiser that a lot of times people don't have here. So they've got, 3 more units than a lot of times of us not having. But we also got 1, 2, 3, questionably 4 units that US a lot of times doesn't have. And I think the carrier is more valuable because it'll hold another unit. So it's actually should count as more. So I think not doing Pearl, I know it's a debated area, but I think not doing Pearl is advantage for allies and a KJF. All right, I babbled a lot. Let's. I've been trying to hold off on doing this, but let's do this. Now, as some people who have been watching the Discord, and in a different game I commented that I would hit this with my infantry and fighter, trade my fighter off for the bomber and or possibly a fighter. Except for I need this fighter coming over this direction to help with the Mediterranean and Transjordan. So unfortunately he's got other things he's got to do, so we're not going to do that attack. We are going to go there. And so that takes 2 spots here to help open up the C-Zone 14. So we're going to have our fighter here, we're going to have our destroyer that can hit, we're going to have our bomber that can hit for US. So if he wants to stop that, he's going to have to grab a transport and land in Gibraltar, and he's going to have to take his fighter tank back here. So if he's taking his tank back and his infantry back, and he's going that way, then that helps save this just a little bit longer and lets UK get just set up a little bit longer. So I am going to sacrifice a transport because it'll keep this transport alive. So yeah. I think that's my only attack with US, right? Don't think there's anything else for US to attack. We're going to go north with our fleet, except for the 1 fighter. That fighter's going that way. So there we go. Now, this transport, I'm going to bring him here. And you may say, well, you could drop him 23 in Africa and he'd be safe right now. You are correct. He would be. But let's look at this. This turn 2, I could come here and drop him here, and the infantry is, just as advanced, and the tank is just as advanced in essence. So I don't really lose ground by not going there this turn. I can always drop him over there next turn, or I can come all the way down to Africa. Or US1, US2, US3 in the Solomons, and US4 going to the islands. So the traditional is US1, US2, US3. So we're meeting at the same time. So as long as I got 41 is safe, we're going to get there at the same time if we decide to divert this transport back over to help with our fleet here, because I am starting to like having 2 transports when possible over there. falling back. This destroyer is an interesting one. Ideally, I'd love to go with him to 22 and be able to follow that same path and just take him right on into the fleet zone there. But I want him to be able to hit 14, which means I need to be 9 doesn't work because he can just kill me. 12, he cannot. 1, 2, 3, 4, he can't return. 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, he cannot return. So 23 kind of feels like the best option, but I'm going to go 12, and the reason being is that does give me the option to bounce up to C-Zone 7 and potentially a UK build if he moves his fighters off of Northwest Europe or Finland. Probably not going to happen, but it may. Bomber. So if I go here, I can go 1, 2, 3 and have things covered. If I go here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I got to land on one of these guys, and he's got that bomber floating around. Whereas from here, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 4, 5, 6, or 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So we've got the Mediterranean covered by the bomber from here. I'm not trying to get to Australia and hit Borneo. That's not going to be my play. This gives me the coverage, including especially on 14 where I can still get back. So I got my destroyer, I got my bomber, and I got this fighter going 1, 2, 3, 4. He could take the fighter out by doing the double take, but that's going to take resources in the wrong direction that he may not want to, and I can still use my 2 UK bombers to hit 14 if need be, or if I decide to be risky, I could do a US destroyer and bomber. I don't know if I'll be that risky, but who knows? Maybe we will. Otherwise, we're coming up here. I like coming up here because it puts a lot of pressure on C-Zone 1662 so that if he wants to build in these, he has to pull boats back. I am going to take that guy down that direction. So in this C-Zone, we got a sub, 2 destroyers, carrier, battleship. So that's 5, 6, 7. 2 fighters here can reach any of that as well. So we got 9 hitters putting pressure on C-Zone 60 and 62. Now, can he defend that? Yes, of course he can. He can bring his carriers back and with the battleship and destroyer, and so he can build in 60, 62, but he's going to have to pull fleet back to do it, or use a destroyer for a blocker. If he pulls fleet back, that's going to give the UK more freedom to work down here. So this is why I start by going up north the first round, maybe 2 rounds with US, and then I start working my way back to the islands. It's to split the Japan fleet and navy up as much as possible, and Air Force up. Hopefully this really aggressive bit means these fighters will not be going over here, so he's not going to be able to stack Ukraine, because he's going to be staring at some pretty heavy fleet forces looking at him. So I don't think I want to go that way. And he's got a free stack of Karelia without having to use them, so I think he just stacks Karelia. I will say I'm on the clock. I consider myself on a G8 clock right now. G8 is my default that I expect him to take Moscow. The fact that he's got an extra fighter and an extra infantry or so, and we were short a couple infantry, and the fact that we're playing JonnyA, number 1 Axis player, that might go to G7. He may be able to push us a little faster. I hope not, but it's a possibility. So we're going to have to watch that. So we got our 2 infantry there. We're not going to be coming back next turn, so we can move over. Because he's going to kill that guy. He won't be returning. If I decide to build a transport next turn, I can always bring him back. And I think that's all the U.S. turn. We did end up in TJ. Yep. Moved back. Everybody's moving. Everybody's moving. Nobody's missing. We do got our fighter cruiser. Yep. We are a little bit short on IPC because we did not get Ukraine. We're going to end up using 3 infantry, 2 infantry, 1. So we're going to use 6 infantry. That is all my infantry except for this one and this one. So we're just going to build straight infantry. Big thing is, even if we built artillery this turn, it doesn't really do us much good, right? The immediate artillery is not going to dead zone anything right away, and except for Ukraine, which that's going to be dead zoned anyways, so we don't have to worry about them getting a Ukraine stack. So we can go ahead, he's going to get a Karelia stack, and we can't stop that. Building artillery is not going to stop it. So we're just going to max out infantry this turn. We might bring in some more artillery as needed in the future, but right now we got pretty heavy artillery, so we're just going to stick with it that way. That's going to be our attack plan. I was considering going ahead and attacking here, but I think I'm just going to try to be annoying instead. So the good news, up here, the fighters can't reach. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only the bomber can reach up there. So hopefully we make it a little bit awkward, a little bit challenging for him to get up there. Go infantry. Oh no, not your infantry. Shenanigans. Fighter. And a 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Whew. That was a big one because I did not want him building units up there already. Whew. Okay, that was a little closer than we really wanted. Now our pilots know what to do. There you go. Good. And now I get to whip out that artillery. Dang it. 4. Third. Alright, I'll have to double check. Frustrating. That was the least important of the 3 battles, actually. I certainly hope I should still be able to stack both. I hope I can still stack both. I need to pull out the calculators real quick. But we blocked off these 3 tanks. That's the good news. That's frustrating. Frustrating. Well, okay, that battle may have been slightly more important than I gave it credit to it, but well, we're just going to have to pay the price. I have to pay the piper. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 units. 5, 6, 10, 11 units here. That's not what I want. This is what I'm offering him in West Russia, including killing my UK fighter that I'm really wanting, and 3 of my tanks and a chunk of my artillery. It's a negative overall IPC battle. It means the fighters that live would have to land in Ukraine, which hopefully we got some pressure on. If he wipes West Russia, we won't have much pressure on, but, well, whatever. And Caucasus, which has our bomber and would have our 2 Russian fighters in it. This is what we're offering him there. Unfortunately, I was trying to get just, 1 artillery off, and that I've worried that may tempt him into hitting it, and the actual result is only 1 Russian fighter living. So we'd lose the UK bomber and a Russian fighter on average. So yeah, here we go. We got to give him odds, but again, I cannot not play aggressive if we're gonna go KJAF. So we got to give him options. I'd rather give him options in the ocean, but we're gonna give him options up here early. Not sure if I would take him either of those if I was him, so I'm hoping that he will not want to take them. Looks like he's on, so I should go ahead and get my turn wrapped up here. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 3, 6, 7. Building 4 is 11. 2 fighters, 3, blah, 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 blah.